No more expensive first dates. So Anthony O'Neal put out a video where he gives his reason why you shouldn't break the bank on first date. So
Yeah, I see this.
yeah, this is gonna be fun. So we're gonna get into that. Before we do us a quick favor, hit that thumbs up, like this video, and let's get into it.
Ladies, y'all not gonna like this one, so this is for the brothers. Cause the ladies, y'all about to be upset with me. Y'all about to be upset. I'm not spending money on expensive first dates. Ain't doing it.
Okay.
Ain't doing it. A recent study just recently came out, so that the average cost of a first date is in between $98 to $116.
That is crazy.
In between $98,000 to $116,000. The average person goes on about 9 to 12 dates before they find the one, right, to settle down with. Then when they break up with that person, they go to 9 to 12 more dates before they find the one to settle down with. So I'm gonna take out my phone here. So let's do the math. Let's do the math. Let's do the math, right? So let's just say low end, $98 times 12, right? It's $1,100. It's $1,100. When the average person makes on average $48,000 a year, gross. After net, when it comes down to net, that's gonna be in between $33,000 and about $36,000 when it comes to what they see. That person who is an average person in America cannot afford to be wasting $1,100 on dating.
Pretty interesting, right? Okay, so what are your immediate thoughts?
Those are some expensive dates anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, like I said, every woman is different. But about $90 on a date, where are y'all going? What are y'all eating? What are y'all drinking? I agree. Those are some pretty expensive dates. They sound more like anniversary dates. So it really does depend on the woman. Or like, if you feel like she's totally out of your league, and so you're trying to really go all out, because I do know some dudes who do that, and that's why you're spending that much money. But you also have to keep in mind larger cities and stuff, the way the cost is. So, I don't know. I agree. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. Yeah. My initial thoughts is everybody, you're right, everybody's different. I'm not spending that much on a first date, mainly just because I don't know that it's necessary. I think if you're already somebody who the person is aware has a lot of money, maybe the pressure, like if you're not a normal guy, which this video probably wouldn't apply to you because most people watching this are making around the range at best, the range that he's making, or he talked about in the video. You're probably not making enough money to just be able to afford, to go out, take a girl out on a first date and spend just, on a slower end, $96, for total. So that means that's the food, it's probably a drink in it. It's probably just a regular beverage. Then you got the alcoholic beverage. So
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to put out that much money for a first date, then you find out, oh man, we have no chemistry. Like, this is not it. It sucks, man. That's terrible. And so you got to go out on another first date with somebody and spend another almost $100 just to find out that doesn't work. So, but the bottom line is you don't necessarily have to spend that much money on the first date. That's the misconception. And there's a lot of easy ways you can go on first dates. You could go to a coffee shop and have a cup of coffee and have a conversation with them if the person likes coffee, or just a lunch date in general would be so much more cheaper, and it'll give you a first date. There's a lot of nice little spots that you can go to, and every city has, a nice cozy spot where you can go out and have a conversation, especially if it's between lunch and things like that, or if it's after work, just something nice and simple.
During the summer, you can go to the fair together.
So many other options.
Things like that, but yeah.
We're going to continue this video because I think it's a little bit more in there.
It makes absolutely no sense. I'm gonna get slammed for this. I'm gonna get trashed for this because here's my thing. A man shouldn't have to spend money on you, woman, for you to feel valued.
I agree.
I'm saying it one more time. If all a man has to do is spend money on you for you to feel like he likes you and for you to feel like he values you, you need to go to therapy.
Sheesh.
You need to get some help.
Okay, we'll stop it there. He says you need to get help if you feel like a man has to spend money on you for you to feel valued. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a lot of truth to that. And I know a lot of women who has that type of mindset. But what I would say is okay, from my perspective, I'm not going on a date with you anyways, unless I have felt that you value me already, unless I have felt some type of connection and things like I'm not going on a date with a stranger. And I know a lot of people do that now when we have like online dating and things.
Yeah.
So it's different. You've had some conversations via messaging, all of that, but it's not the same. So, like I said, I would prefer to know the person beforehand. I would prefer to have a friendship. Again, those are not always the conditions, and I get it. But with that being said, yeah, just because of the amount of money they spend on you doesn't mean it's people who spend so much money on their dates, potential wives, and things, and at home behind closed doors putting their hands on them. So that shows that you don't value them. I'm just being real, you know. That shows that I want you to look nice and we should come off like we got this much money. But, you know, I do think you want to impress the woman on the first date. But you can do that without spending $90-something.
Yeah, it feels like overcompensation sometimes. And 97 now, if you really feel good about the person, $97 isn't a lot of money. I don't want to come off like cheap. We dated obviously not obviously you all, but we dated when we were in college. So the money wasn't flowing to that degree like that. And there was on both sides.
I'm cracking up.
And so we used what little work study type job or money we saved up over the summer in her case to stretch out a long way, or refund checks, which I regret doing. But I mean, refund checks was hidden. They were hidden.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where we didn't have a lot of money, so $98 was out of the question. It wasn't even on the table. And so some people would say, maybe like my mom or others would say, if you ain't got money, you don't need no boyfriend or girlfriend, you ain't got no money and stuff like that. And yeah, it sounds good on paper, but nobody listens to that.
Yeah, and a lot of women have said the reason why they will want to see a man, you know, splurge on them because that shows them how they will be taken care of if this relationship gets more serious. That's their argument. Again, y'all, we talking about first date. Like, they don't even know your middle name.
We talking about practice.
First date. And also, we will have to say, we were in college, and he's talking about people who got their job and, you know, making their money, I'm guessing, post-graduation, things like that. So there is a difference. But I think that's still a lot of money for a first date. You're right. Yeah,
moral of the story, there's other ways to have a great time with a person, to value, show a person that you care about them. Number one, just their words alone are a good starting place. You know, you start with what you say. And so you have to kind of come off confident. I said overcompensating because it's like, okay, you thinking you can just impress somebody by spending money. That's an aspect. Obviously, that is an aspect that can be effective, especially depending on the person. But then there's also how you make them feel when they're around you. If you make them feel just so amazing, like they're valued, like they're just desired, those type of things. And also, it can backfire sometimes spending a lot of money because then someone might think you're a little bit too, aggressive, too pushy. They're like, I'm not so sure about this person. So women can be complicated. It's one of those things where it's like you have to really understand your motives and understanding it. And especially if you're one of those guys, or we're a Christian channel, but if you're one of those guys that's like, okay, well, I'm going to spend this and I'm going to put the pressure on her to not want to come home with me or something like that. Or all of these extra added pressures because you're like, if I do this, then I'm for sure going to get that. I already think you're already playing a losing game, in my opinion. If that was your goal, you should have probably, you could have went a lot of other places for that. But anyway, my whole thing is, I do think that men who creatively come up with ways to have fun with a person, to also, and even when you show like a date, like let's say you go, if your first date is like that, well, you setting the bar already.
I know you're going to have to top it.
We're obviously not talking about Applebee's. We're talking about a pretty high scale. We're talking about some of the best steaks and the best drinks and all that. So you're talking about a pretty legit restaurant to start off with. It's one of those things where like you're just going to keep on raising it up. So the second, third, fourth date are just going to keep getting higher. Whereas if you start off modest and you show kind of that side of you and really push more for creativity.
You see that she's worth it, and this is something that looks like could really be like both put some effort into.
Yeah, a lot of people say how you start a relationship is how you finish, and all of these different phrases. Not always the case, but sometimes you got to be careful with the expectations you set. If it's not genuinely who you are, if it's not genuinely what you desire, then you're actually doing yourself more harm in the long run, is my opinion. But to each your own. But I tend to agree with Anthony O'Neill. And check out his channel. He has a lot of good stuff pertaining to finance, especially with African Americans. I think he does some good stuff. And I think this is solid advice for a lot of men that, you know, we don't have to, if you have money, if you have it, then that's great. But if you don't have it, don't pretend that you have something and get yourself in a situation. Because even, let's say the relationship does progress, then next thing you know, you're in debt. And it's like, okay, you spent all this money for dates, then the wedding and all this stuff. Now you're in debt. And,
or you have the woman, before you even get to the wedding and stuff, whoa. She's like, he used to take me on these beautiful dates and things, not knowing that you got to stack your money back up because you spent it on all the dates you've been on. So then, all of a sudden, she's starting to lose interest because she's like, is he starting to get comfortable with me? You know, is the flame gone, whatever? Does he have somebody else? Because he's not doing what he did from the beginning. And so, again, if you don't got it, don't act like you do.
Yeah, money is a huge factor in relationships, marriages failing. And money matters, but that's why it's important that you show right up front how you handle money and how you make decisions with it. I think it's a good opportunity, but that's just my thoughts on it. So it's worked for me and many others. However, this is an absolute. Take it for what it's worth. But those are our thoughts on this. We hope you all enjoyed this. Do us a favor before you head out. Hit that thumbs up, like this video, and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell.